Hi and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA, the soccer show that tells you what's going on week in and week out. I'm here with Budgie, and Budge will open up again with last one standing as we normally do. Week 6 they dropped from 57 to 48. And this midweek is week 7, and we've already had casualties, Budge. Let's look at them. Brighton, Chelsea and Leeds sent a few. So at this stage, there's only 10 people through but carried through. 9 on Newcastle, 1 on Southampton. Who's that mug?
What?
Who's that
initial
mug?
sponsor, Dave Goss.
Oh, Dick Goss, eh?
Yeah, Dick's.
Okay, so at this stage, there's 10 through of the 48. But the pick of the week
Has to be Robbie Burns.
Break.
He's had 2 of the best 3 picks we've ever had.
He found Brentford.
No, yeah, Brentford, yeah.
Fantastic. Well done to Breaks. Robbie Burns found that. Now, Aston Villa had 6 entries. These are the people who went through. Mark Weinstein went with 2
picks, yeah.
Is he Larry's son?
Yeah.
Oh, well done, Tim. Sue Miller, one of 2 women left.
Yeah.
Hassan Maul, a guy who's always up there.
Yeah.
Skip, Ernie Wallace.
Yeah.
And Sarwar Khan. I don't know him.
Yeah, it's been in from the beginning, Sarwar.
Wolves, good pick. Tennille Werners, Lawrence's daughter. Jimbo Guffman, well done, and Tace Statler. Now there are 9 hanging on Newcastle today. Newcastle go to Everton.
Everton away, yeah.
Yeah. Francois Demy, guys up there a lot. Craig Faree, Mark Curry, guy who was going well into round 7.
Chelsea and Brighton.
Yeah, he was going well. Colin McCabe, Michael Jackson the singer, Shorgan Phillips.
Sean hanging in, yeah.
He's a previous winner.
Yeah.
Gary Grant, the actor. Kevin Power, the dart player.
Kevin Rimbert, the rugby in England. We had a beer with him at,
that's right, yeah. And then Andrew from Boston, Andre from Boston.
Yeah.
Southampton, Dick Goss. Well, Dick, everything of the best, pal. It's a tough call. They did manage to hold Arsenal, but then Arsenal haven't won in 4.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk about the Premiership results. Where is Stevie B? Is he about?
Steve, you there?
I'm here. Good morning.
Morning, Stephen. We just ran through a few of
the Premiership. I watched the Wolves Palace game. Obviously, there were tickets on them. A good game, Paul. It's nothing better than scoring early. They got a bit lucky with the goal, but it was a good game.
The second goal they were lucky. The keeper's first touch.
Sam Johnson. She should have got sent off.
Should have got. It was over the top. Yeah.
3 boys went through. Aston Villa, Fulham. Steve, I didn't watch much of it. How did it go?
Just as well. It was a shocking game. Villa started really well. I mean, you could see why they're top of the form guide with City. Scored, and you just thought this is going to be a hatful. But actually, as the game wore on, we looked a bit more solid at the back, and Villa just sort of decided, I think, they were ahead and they were just going to shut up shop, and we found it very difficult to break through. Yeah. So it was probably one of the worst games to watch.
Thank goodness I never watched that. And Leeds Leicester, I watched the last 15 minutes. That could have gone either way. Bamford, the chance he missed, and apparently he was slagging off the previous manager. I heard Sherwood have a go at him afterwards at Leeds United. Sherwood had a go at him.
Well, he was there having a go at the American.
The guy that got fired, and flicked on, back post, couldn't miss, and he missed. But Vardy should have scored. He was offside. Terrible. The guy should have shot. But at the end it was ding dong. But 1-1. Tough guy. I was watching mainly the Wolves.
It was a result really that neither of them wanted, because it keeps them both down there. But as you say, that Bamford miss was shocking. Yeah. He was obviously upset with the previous manager because he didn't pick him. But he was, he's been injured half the season. So, I know he's a bit rusty, but that was a shocking miss. I mean, he just had 2 yards out. He just had to touch the ball in.
Yeah,
that could cost Leeds. That could certainly cost Leeds.
Definitely. I wonder if the manager will pick him this week after that chance. Other games, Steve. I watched a lot of the Notts Forest and Brighton. Crikey Moses. Brighton, they're unlucky in the semi-final against United. They should have been 3 or 4 up, but ended up getting beat 3-1, and great result for Forest. Brighton still in the top 4 mix, but it's going to be a lot harder now.
Do you know, I was listening to Steve.
I think for Brighton, it was a little bit of, a hangover from Sunday.
Yeah.
You just sort of felt he rested 1 or 2, but ultimately, as you say, I saw some of that game, and they really had chances, but Forest rode their luck, and in the end came through. Huge result for them, because I think a lot of people were thinking, lose that, and they're definitely 11 games without a win beforehand, and Brighton with their games in hand, but they've got think it's quite tough for them. They've got a lot of fixtures coming up, and I can't see Brighton getting into that top 4, but they're still good for a European place.
You know, Steve, I was listening to the commentator. You know, bear in mind, Nottingham Forest had a penalty saved as well. They played, but I was watching the Chelsea game. The commentator said, "Is it Mudryk, the winger, the second fastest timed of a football in the Premier League this year was Mudryk. Second fastest. Guess who's the fastest?
Oh, wouldn't know.
Nottingham Forest.
Who is it?
Oh, that.
What's his name?
The guy up front.
Yes, the guy up front.
Brendan Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson, yeah.
Fastest timed player in the whole league is Johnson, then Mudryk. I thought it might have been the big Langostine at Man City.
No, he's a bit too sluggish. I think he gets going.
When he gets
going,
going,
Johnson and Johnson.
So that was interesting. In fact, Johnson's the quickest player in the league, the commentator was saying.
Well, they're going to need him this week. West Ham won Liverpool 2, Steve. I watched, obviously, when the game's on, how they never gave the penalty. You know, Moyes was going
that
berserk.
was a strange decision. You can see, and in fact, it's the that was Chris Kavanagh, the referee, that sent Mitrovic off. And we were, and part of the reason why Silva was upset with him is because he didn't give handball against 2 West Ham players when we lost over there before. So he's obviously has a problem with seeing handball, Chris Kavanagh. But that was a little bit unfortunate. But again, from what I saw, and I've seen the highlights this morning, Liverpool had a lot of chances, and ultimately that's probably the right result.
Now, West Ham scored 1-1. They got disallowed. You know, it just turned over with the Forest game after they scored. Bowen, game I didn't watch, thankfully. I know Paul's not too impressed with the result. Chelsea 0, Brentford 2.
I watched it.
No, I just saw highlights, and it sounded, again, you know, the fans were really upset. You know, you think they've got nothing to have a go, and he has players on the bench who can score goals, and he started with Sterling on his up front against a huge Brentford defence. It's you know, look, you just wonder whether or not Lampard will even last the season out. You know, he's lost all 5 games that he's come. It really isn't doing his reputation any good, and it's the fans are screaming for Pochettino, which I understand is very close now.
You know, Steve, I watched the whole game. And I had them in my last one standing, and I watched and I thought, okay, they started playing a bit of decent football, kept the ball. The Croatia in the midfield was looking good. Brentford defended very strongly. They had so many people, me and the tall guy next to him, and just players around them. I cannot think in that whole game of more than one shot from Chelsea. More than one. It was woeful. It was absolutely. It's all good and well keeping the ball on the halfway line, knock it square, going nowhere. Chelsea have got problems. Whoever's in charge.
Yeah, I think they've got to get Pochettino in now. Get rid of him, because the fans are going to turn on Lampard. And a good mate of ours, Garth Whitehead, colours to most people. He's a Chelsea diehard, and he just couldn't believe it. And I saw the team. I was trying to work out if I knew all the players. Say Sterling up front on his own, and Man City 4, Arsenal 1. Steve. Mismatch.
What a performance! I mean, it was an absolute masterclass, particularly from De Bruyne and Haaland. You know, whatever game plan that Arteta had was completely out the window. The way that City played. I mean, normally you're used to seeing De Bruyne put Haaland in, but it was the other way round in the first half, and they couldn't cope. You know, De Bruyne making that run ahead of Haaland, and you know the amount of chances that they created in the first half, particularly, they could have been 4 or 5 up, and it wouldn't have been undeserved. You just sort of felt it was coming. Those, you know, Arteta was saying, well, you know, it's not the game that's going to define the season. No, it was the 3 games before where they dropped points. But I think that was it. Now you just find it hard to believe that City will blow up from this position.
I think Arsenal have blown up.
No, I agree with you, Steve.
You concede 3 to Southampton. You know, the 2-2 draw at Anfield was a good result. You know, Liverpool at Anfield don't get beat, even though you're 2-0 up. But you look who they're conceding to. And, you know, they're woeful. And I think they're in trouble against Chelsea, even though Chelsea are struggling. Steve, few games tonight, massive game. Everton, Newcastle. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's huge for both. I mean, obviously, with Forest winning, Everton are in real trouble. They can't afford to lose that. But Newcastle, you know, are going to be cock-a-hoop after that performance at the weekend. You know, Newcastle want to consolidate their position in the top 4. So, you know, I can't see Everton winning somehow. I think Newcastle are playing with so much confidence, and I think Everton can't afford to lose. But if they do, they really are in trouble. So I can see it being close. Like, you know, I don't think Newcastle are going to run riot. but he's got to shut up shop Sean Dyche. He's got to stop Everton, Newcastle from scoring. And I think for me, there could only be like 1 or 2 goals in it. It's going to be a tough, hard game, I think, to watch.
Yeah, Southampton, Bournemouth. I think this will be a good game. I watched quite a bit of Bournemouth on Sunday. They didn't play too well. West Ham played great, scored from the set pieces. I fancy Southampton here. What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think they have to, because they're effectively 6 points adrift now with Forest winning. If they don't win this, then I think that's probably curtains for them. If they do win, it puts them sort of right back up there, and it brings Bournemouth, back into it, because at the weekend, obviously, as we know, we've got Bournemouth Leeds, so it's in Bournemouth's own hands. They get 4 or 6 points in the next 2 games, they're out of it. But if they could easily lose both, so yeah, it's pretty exciting at the bottom.
Yeah, and the game Paul and I are keen to watch. Tottenham, Man United.
Quarter past, they
starting late.
Yeah, late start.
Midnight. Yeah. How do you see that going? 1-1?
Yeah, tough. Look, neither team can afford to lose. United don't want to start looking over their shoulder, which they could do. Tottenham, I mean, well, listen, we don't need me to say what Paul's thinking about that first half on Sunday. Tottenham need a response. The fans are going to demand it, and they've seemed to play well against the bigger teams. Tottenham is sometimes against the smaller teams they come unstuck. I think this will be a close game. I think there'll be goals. I don't think either defence are going to hold out. Just wonder whether or not, as Brighton did last night, whether there's still a bit of a hangover from the semi-final on Sunday. But I'm looking forward to it. We've got that game on, obviously, here. We've got every game on this week. I've sort of fancy goals, something like 2-2 even.
Yeah, I just only think United have an extra day, which Brighton didn't have. Question for Paul. The latest on Spurs managerial search. Is there any news, or just going to run it through?
Did they go, the name's in the hat from the latest, and it keeps changing.
Yeah, no
Is
doubt.
it Nagel? What's
Nagel, yeah.
He's the boy from Germany. Again, there's talk of the fired Leicester boss.
Brendan Rodgers.
Rodgers. When you go back and look at his CV,
his CV's not too bad.
Yeah, look at his CV. He brought Cardiff out the first Welsh team to come back in. He won the FA Cup with Leicester.
And the League Cup, I think it's Swansea.
He's won a runner-up with Liverpool. Nice. He's done a few things. So there's people fighting his case. But as I sit here, I haven't a clue. It won't be Mason. But you'll have to. No. Mason seems to think he's got a chance. Got no chance.
No chance. What about my boy Harry Potter?
Who?
Graham Potter. Still, he should have got the job.
I really don't know who's going to get it. At this stage, we don't know. Levy, Steve, did you watch Levy's interview at Cambridge Union?
No. But interesting, obviously there was a lot of push for Nagelsmann, but when you look at his CV, he hasn't got a huge amount of experience. And obviously none in the Premier League. And it is a little bit of a gamble. It's not like, Conte, for example, or Mourinho, who've got years of experience. Yeah. So, I think that there is and it's interesting that he blew out from the Chelsea job because there was talk about him going there, but they weren't interested in the end. But I don't know. Graham Potter maybe. This could be an interesting call, but they're not going to rush. I mean, obviously they've got rid of Stellini now. But they've got to do something at the beginning of the summer, because obviously you need a new manager in to get his vision and to get the right players in.
Yeah. So who's going to be the assistant to Mason? Because we fired the boss.
Haven't you got your old centre half there?
We fired the boss. We got his assistant. Yeah. We fired the assistant. We got his assistant. So the next guy's got to be Mason's assistant.
What was the big centre half? Only had one knee.
Oh, Ledley King.
Ledley King, yeah.
Ledley King, yeah. No, he'd never take that.
1-1 tonight, Steve. Desperate affair. Anyway, we go on to the weekend lunchtime kickoff. London Derby. Crystal Palace, West Ham. Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah, look, West Ham obviously they came unstuck last night, but they've been playing very well. Palace slipped up. That wasn't a particularly good performance at Wolves. No. I think West Ham will be happy enough to get a point there, because I think they're just starting to pull away slowly. But they wouldn't want to lose, because they still could get sucked into it. So I think Palace will maybe just start as favourites, but I think West Ham will get something.
Yeah, so do I. Palace, although a little bit unlucky, the goal they conceded was terrible one, especially early on away from home.
They've got a couple of good players.
Who's that?
Palace.
I like
couple
that.
Of youngsters.
He's a good player. I just think in the middle of the park, West Ham will have a little bit too much. 17-10, I thought was a good price, but win and draw would be my play there. Brentford, Notts Forest. Steve, is this the banker of the weekend?
You can't beat Brentford there.
Well, you say that, but obviously Forest have, with their first win after 11 winless games, they're going to be sort of fairly confident that they could get something.
Yeah.
They've picked up more injuries. I mean, talk about injury prone. There are, for various reasons, they said there were 14 players potentially unavailable. Just as well they brought in 30 in the last 2 windows. But I think Brentford will start as favourites. I think, again, they hadn't won in a few, but they'll be pleased with that. Again, Forest will be scrapping away to try and get something. They played well in patches at Liverpool, to be fair to them, and obviously then dug in deep last night. And so, I think I fancy Brentford, but I think if it is, it's only going to be by 1.
How many games have Brentford lost at home? Not many.
2, 1 to Arsenal and 1 to Newcastle.
No. Yeah, but Brentford, I went to that pokey little cupboard of a stadium. Yeah. Boom. For me, they're hard to beat. It's tiny little 16,000-seater tight track. They love it.
Yeah, and they're well organised from set pieces too.
Organised.
You've got to fancy them. Forest lost the last 6 away from home, so you've got to fancy
Get
Brentford.
on there, Brentford, yeah.
Brighton Wolves, Steve. Is this the upset of the weekend?
No.
Well, look, Brighton, have got these games in hand, but it doesn't always help when when they're coming thick and fast. They're going to be, they're going to be hurting still. Lost Sunday, lost last night. Wolves are playing very well. Not so much away from home. Obviously, they've got a very strong record at home. I think Brighton want to bounce back, but Wolves are making themselves very hard to beat. I think again, Brighton will start as favourites, but I don't think Wolves will be a pushover.
Yeah, I agree. Wolves have got good midfield players, and that's what keeps them in the game. And the keeper hasn't really tossed it in. They can play.
But Brighton have been stiff.
Diego Costa is becoming a handful again.
Yeah.
But as you say, sometimes that team are unlucky against United. They should have won last night. Sometimes this season you have a couple of bad results.
Yeah.
And 5 to 10 too short for me. Bournemouth Leeds. How do you see it, Steve?
Huge game. I mean, obviously Bournemouth are playing tonight against Southampton. Leeds will obviously have had a couple of days extra rest because they played on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Huge game for both teams. Neither can afford to lose. Obviously Leeds less so than Bournemouth because obviously they've drawn 1 and lost 3 leads before. I think whoever wins this, well, certainly if Bournemouth win it, then I think they'll pull themselves out of trouble and Leeds will stay in. I think Bournemouth at home will just be a little bit too strong. They came unstuck last weekend against West Ham, and they could do against Southampton. But I think Gary O'Neill will look at this and think, we've got to win this game. And Leeds just concede goals. They kept it a bit tighter during the week. But, I think there will be goals in this game. But for me, one could go either way. But I think just worry if Leeds are getting a bit desperate. That they're running out of games and they're right down at the bottom there.
Yeah, over 2.5, over 3.5 goals. I think there's plenty of goals in that game. Fulham Man City, Steve.
Fulham, come on, Fulham.
Can you score?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we will score. I mean, City aren't conceding. Without Mitrovic, with Willian injured with a hamstring, I can't see us scoring. The question will be is how many we keep it down to. And I've already in one of my fantasy leagues, I've got City 3-0, and I think I think they'll score a couple of early goals, City, and then they can start taking players off. Once the game's won. Yeah,
I think you'll grab one in the second half, Steve. Man City, it's amazing. You talk to managers, and Spurs did this against Sheffield United, and Paul and I spoke about it a while ago. Why not play your best players, get the result and take them off, which Man City have done with Haaland and De Bruyne. Other guys play the lesser players and the last 20 minutes try and bring them on. Rather just start with the best team, you get 3 or 4 up, take them off. I think this is 3-4-1, Steve. I think you'll score. And but obviously Man City and the way they're going. The only thing is he will make changes. Wednesday was a big game.
Bring Mahrez back.
Tati will bring them all back.
Foden, Mahrez, great players.
I think you'll score, Steve.
Exactly.
I hope so.
I mean, bringing Mahrez on for Silva or Foden in, it's not exactly weakened them, is it? But look, I'm talking to a number of my friends. They're looking forward. They want to see Haaland play. No one's seen Haaland play in the flesh, as it were. You know, yet. So, and if he bags this, he's obviously odds on to get his 50th goal. I was joking a few weeks ago saying, he'll get his 50th goal at Fulham. Well, he's on 49. You know, I think there's good money on him getting that at the weekend. And great. You know, listen. We want to be in the Premier League. We want to see the best players in the world, and you've got De Bruyne and Haaland and all the others coming. You know, it's obviously that's what we want to do. We want, and the Fulham players want to pitch themselves 100%. And test themselves against the best. So you know, it's a free hit for us. We've got nothing to lose. You know, we might as well try and play. The only thing is, if you try to get too open and play without fear, you just get you get cut up. But I wouldn't want to see us with 10 men behind the ball the whole game and not have a go. That seems pointless. So.
Steve, that tight pitch of yours, well, it looks tight from the ground, and also you take from the corner flag to the big box. It looks a lot narrower than others. I think this is more of a game. I fancy Man City, but that tight pitch gives you a chance. As long as Pauline is in the game, you know there's someone to get booked. And Man United host Aston Villa. Steve,
Good
Villa, second form team. I think it's 8 wins, 2 draws in the last 10. United play tonight. This could be. This is a difficult game for United. How do you see it going?
I think so, because you know Villa again would have had 2 days extra rest before they play, and they got nothing to lose. Look, Villa are sitting 5th in the table. They at the moment. You know, they got absolutely. You know, they're going for Europe, and with the way they're playing, and with Ollie Watkins in form, they've definitely got more than half a chance. And I think, you know, United after a tough game on Sunday, obviously there could be a tough game again tonight. Depends if how fit his squad is. You know, so
Bruno Fernandes doubtful.
If Fernandes or Rashford are firing, then they've always got a chance. But I think at home, obviously, they're not easy to beat at home, United. So I think that they would at least hold Villa, but you can't rule out the away team in this game.
Yeah, United got 1 million youngsters. It's time to play some of them. You can't keep playing Eriksen and Bruno and Casemiro in the midfield. They haven't got the legs. So it's time, give McTominay, Fred. It's time we freshen the squad up. They haven't let us down. They've let us down in the big games. But for me, you've got to rotate the squad. Even tonight against Spurs, I would play Fred and I would play McTominay if Bruno's out. I know it's a major drop, but it's up front that's my concern. But I think this is a difficult game.
Move on.
Newcastle, Southampton, Steve, one-way traffic.
You'd think so. I mean, again, they're playing tonight, both playing tonight. You would think whatever happens, Newcastle are going to be firm favourites. And if Southampton don't get a result against Bournemouth and they lose at St James's Park, that's it for them. You know, they would probably be at least 6, if not more, points adrift with about 4 to go. So I think Newcastle are definitely going to want to consolidate that top 4 place. And the way they played last week, I think Southampton's defence just won't be able to cope.
1-3 does look a good bet. Liverpool, Spurs. Paul, can you get a result?
Take a draw. Our away form's woeful. Their home form's excellent. Doesn't mean brain surgeon tell you we need to play at our best to come away with a point here. But Liverpool have not been the sides of yesteryears.
No, definitely not. And Trent now tucking into midfield. Yesterday, West Ham had 3 or 4 great chances to get to the Antonio missed the one up.
Corner, runaway, man.
Can't believe it. So he thinks this is a great system. If Son's out there and gets those chances, you'll score. But at Anfield, always difficult to beat. So it has to be Liverpool. Steve, Leicester, Everton. How do you see it?
Huge game. And again, Everton playing tonight. If they get nothing against Newcastle, I think Leicester definitely starts as favourites. They came back and played well against Wolves. In patches, they played very well for what I saw at Leeds. I think Leicester, if they've got all their best players on the pitch, Maddison, Tielemans, they make things happen. And I just think they've got a little bit too much for me to go down. I think they'll just pull themselves out of it.
They shouldn't go down, but this is a crucial game. They don't get a result here. You just never know. And last but not least, Tuesday night, Arsenal, Chelsea.
Well, you just wonder now. I mean, in some respects, the pressure's off Arsenal because City win at Fulham, which I'm sure they will. They go top, and it's like Arsenal are now playing catch up. Chelsea, as you said, have been awful, but you can't see they could frustrate Arsenal. Yeah. That's the only thing. But Arsenal have got to find a way to get a result. I mean, otherwise it could just be all over with about 2 or 3 games to go. I think Arsenal will win it, but it won't be pretty.
Yeah, I've just got a funny feeling Chelsea can get something after what they did last night. I know I've fallen for them before, but they've Arsenal, Chelsea. There's no love lost, and I think Lampard will get bulleted during the week. Pochettino will come in and there'll be a rebound for me, but hard to trust him. On to the championship, Steve. Sheffield United, I saw a bit of it. 2-0 last night. They beat West Brom. West Brom a little bit unlucky in the first half, but Burnley, Sheffield United, both through, or both promoted.
Yeah, definitely. Sheffield United have always been behind Burnley, as it were, and at one point it looked like Middlesbrough were going to catch them, but they fell away and they just kept grinding out results. It's not been pretty. They haven't got, I don't think, a squad as strong as they had when they went up before. So I think that unless there's money available and they strengthen, I think they'll struggle next year. But good luck to them. They've been up. They were unlucky last year in the playoffs against Forest,
they beat them penalties,
they deserved to go up this year. West Brom have fallen right away. It looked like with their game in hand they could do it, but they've lost their last 2, and I think that's over for them now.
Yeah, they're only 2 points outside the playoff place, but there's 2 games to go, so it's tricky.
Only 2 games left.
Yeah.
Just one quick question: did Sunderland win promotion last year?
From League One, wasn't it?
Yes. So they're just about in the playoffs. They could get promoted again.
Yeah, in the playoffs,
Gee, interesting. Okay, lovely.
There's 2 games to go. So, anyway, Steve, Friday night kickoff. Blackpool, who are struggling second bottom against Millwall. Blackpool buried me last week. Buried us both. Remember, we fancied Birmingham. They won 2 of their last 3. Millwall have gone off the boil, Steve. Could you see another upset even though Millwall are desperate?
I was going to say they've gone off the boil, but they have to win this Millwall. They're still hanging on in there, and but for Blackpool, even if they win their last 2 games, I suspect it's not going to be enough for them. So I think it'll be a good game because both have to win. A draw doesn't help either of them. So I fancy Millwall. I just think they're just quite a little bit about them. But Blackpool, you'd hope, would go down fighting and throw everything at them. So I think that'll be a good game.
Yeah, we've got it on TV. Bristol City, Burnley. Burnley won the league in midweek when they beat Blackburn. A little bit fortunate. They should have conceded a penalty. This could be an upset, Steve. Burnley, they'll still be celebrating. There will be goals in this game. Do you think Bristol City can upset them?
I think they can. I think, as you say, Burnley have won the league. They're just going now for going for goals and points. Yeah. But Bristol City have picked up a little bit recently, and I just think that they'll want to test themselves against the champions. It's a bit like when Fulham won the league last year. They went to Sheffield United and basically didn't turn up and lost 4-0 because they had nothing to play for. So I just have a feeling Bristol City might just catch them on a day after their celebrations.
Yeah, Coventry surprisingly are 5th, 5-10 at home against Birmingham.
Yeah, they should be too strong. It's a derby. No love lost between them. Okay. Obviously, Coventry played at St Andrews for a while.
That's right.
But they've come on strong. They've got themselves up into that playoff place, and I don't think they'll want to give it up. I think that Coventry should be too strong. All
right, should be goals in the next game, Steve. Hull City, Swansea. But which way do you see it going, though?
Yeah, well, Swansea they've got themselves potentially. Mathematically, they could still make a playoff. I don't think they will. Yeah. It's come. I think the season's ending too soon for them because they are one of the most informed teams. Yep. I think Swansea could get a result there, and you never know if results go for them. They can find themselves very close to a playoff place, but I think it's just a little bit eluding them now.
Yeah, 6 wins of the last 7 has thrown them in the boil, but hard to see. Desperation at the bottom, Steve. Reading, Wigan. Which way do you see it?
Yeah. Well, again, I think neither team can afford not to win. It's if a draw doesn't help either of them because they're pretty much both will go down. I think I think this is it should be another open game. I think Reading should start as favourites. They're the ones of the 2 that have got a better chance of staying up if they win. But you know, Sean Maloney has given, you know, Wigan fans a little bit of something to cheer about in recent games. But I just think Reading, you know, you think Paul Ince has got to get them. Sorry, the person there has got to get them fired up now, because you know, otherwise they lose this and they are down.
Yeah, haven't won in 7, so hard to see those 6 points that they lost come back to haunt them.
I mean, that was, yeah.
My Preston boys, I watched them last week. We don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Blackburn were the better team against us, and we got a poxy equaliser. But we travelled to Sheffield United, who obviously got promoted last night, and we're celebrating. Can't blame them. Can my boys cause an upset, Steve?
Well, I suppose they could, but, you know, as you say, they've gone right. I mean, they were in a good position a few games ago, Preston, but they completely they sort of imploded. But the pressure got to them. It just, you know, but found wanting. I think Sheffield United will probably go on and win this, because, you know, they're on a high. But, you know, Preston can make themselves hard to beat. So a draw's not, you know, an impossible result. But I think Sheffield United will probably start as favourites.
Yeah, Stoke, QPR, 2 teams I just can't catch. Big game for QPR, though.
Well, I mean, QPR, you know, everyone thought a couple of games ago they were going, and here they are. You know, they got a fighting point at home, and then they go and win at Burnley. You know, evidently they held on desperate, but, you know, that was a great result, and I think that they'll go to Stoke knowing that any type of result would probably be enough to keep them up. Stoke have disappointed. They had a good run a few weeks ago, and they just nothing. They sort of just faded away. I think that they'll start as favourites. You know, it's their last home game. They want to put a show on for their fans, and I think Stoke will win. But I think, you know, QPR are probably going to be safe now, because I'm not sure the teams below them will get enough points to catch them. Yeah,
that's true. Sunderland, Watford. Sunderland, 6th position, big game, and their last game's at Preston the next weekend.
They'll win that.
Got to win that. But Watford, your brother must be hell of a disappointed, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a very disappointing season, and whether Chris Wilder will even be there for next season, who knows. But Sunderland had a huge result last week to win at West Brom, and, you know, I think a lot of people were thinking West Brom would win that and get themselves in the playoffs, and then Sunderland have taken that position. I think, you know, in front of a huge, expecting sort of 40,000 plus at the Stadium of Light, I think Sunderland will win that.
Yeah, me too. West Brom, Norwich, another team, Norwich, that have just fallen away. 1 win and 8. But away from home, they're falling bad.
Yes, but disappointing for both of them, because I don't think either of them will make the playoffs now. And a draw wouldn't, you know, again, both of them have got to go for it, because if they both got an outside chance. West Brom a little bit more so, I think, but I think they'll probably end up cancelling each other out, and then they'll both be playing each other in the Championship next season.
Okay, well, we'll get the next slide up now. Cardiff City versus Huddersfield just come up now. Steve, 28-10 is my value bet of the weekend. He's done a good job.
Me too.
You know, was it yours as well? Okay. You know, it was 8-10 win and draw Huddersfield. I don't see them losing at Cardiff. You obviously agree with me.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Neil Warnock, you know, has got them, you know, to the point where they can stay up with a win. Cardiff play Rotherham during the week, so Cardiff have got like a second bite of the cherry here a little bit. I think Huddersfield can get a result there, but I think Cardiff could get a result against Rotherham in a few days' time. So, you know, they've both got an opportunity. If Cardiff win this, then I think they'll be pretty safe. You know, but no, and then Huddersfield play Reading next week. So, you know, they're all playing each other at the bottom. So, you know, I think Neil Warnock has got them playing quite well. So I think they'll go there as favourites.
Yeah, they've only lost one. That was 1-0 at Swansea. So of the I fancy them. Rotherham, Middlesbrough. Now, I watched Middlesbrough the other night at Luton. He made 6 or 7 changes, Carrick. He kept his main boy Akpom off. He's going to do the same. So it wouldn't surprise me if Rotherham cause an upset. But I saw 11-10 over 2.5 goals. That's my play here, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm a little bit sorry, because I suppose at the end of the day, you know, he thinks, well, Borough are in the playoffs, you know, they can't get automatic, but they were playing for 3rd place, and 3rd place means you play 6th place. So I was surprised that he really, you know, whether he's going to do that again, because I don't think they'll catch Luton now.
No.
So, you know, having said that, you don't want to keep resting your best players, because resting them once, but you rest them again, all of a sudden, you know, Akpom's thinking, well, hold on, I haven't played for a couple of weeks. It's you know, you want to keep your players sort of finely tuned. You know, they're Paul knows, you know, a good racehorse. You don't want to say, well, you're not going to go out on the gallops for 2 weeks. You got to keep all the bits moving. So I would be disappointed if we played a weakened team, and obviously great for Rotherham if he does, because Rotherham gets something out of it, and they'll be pretty safe as well. So you know, if he plays a strong team, I think they'll win. But otherwise, you know, Rotherham at home are not an easy team to beat. Yeah. So it could be a draw. Yeah,
I just, you know, he's rotating his players, and I think the same with Blackburn against Luton. Luton are going to rotate. Yeah. They're in the playoffs, so why risk injury? Rather give the squad players a game. You know, they've obviously guys 46 games, a lot of aches and pains, and 16-10 Blackburn. I'm all over that, Steve. It's my bet of the weekend. They were unlucky against Burnley. They should have beat Preston. This is a must-win game for them, so they'll have my money.
Yeah. Yeah, very much a must-win game. As to say, they dropped points when they, you know, they could have got 4 points and they ended up with 1. So I think you're right. You know, Luton have got that playoff place completely sewn up. He may well rest. You know, it's interesting that the last couple of years their main striker has been Adebayo, and this year it's been Carlton Morris who's come in and scored 20 goals. So he might, you know, swap them round. You know, he hasn't got a big squad to play with. Rob Edwards, but you know, I think he'll, as you say, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he rotates 1 or 2, and Blackburn probably do start as favourites.
Yeah, I fancy them big time. If it was me and I was a manager, I would rest them and play them more than the last game of the season. That would be my idea to get ready for the playoffs. Steve, pressure time again, please. I need your best bet and value bet.
I'm going to go for Sunderland. Sunderland is my best bet. I think, you know, roared on by a full house. They've got goals in them. I think that they'll be a little bit too strong for Watford. And my value bet, just coincidence, obviously, is same as you. Yeah. I just think it's, you know, they're pretty generous odds, 28-10. And Neil Warnock, you know, he doesn't get relegated very often. I think I think he'll get something there, definitely.
All right, Steve. Thanks very much.
Stevie, stay well.
Pleasure.
Speak to you soon.
Stevie.
Cheers.
All the best.
Cheers, pal.
Bye.
Right, let's go PSL. Butch.
Paul.
Sundowns beat Richards Bay.
Yeah, I watched it. Was lunchtime, Paul. He made 8 changes. You know, they won in the CAF Championship. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't know it was on. They won 4-1. I think it was in Algeria. They're a good team, Sundowns,
yeah,
Paul.
Very good.
You know, but... you know, the CAF Championship, that's or Champions League, that's their main mission. The league games, he's just rotating. You can't play him. All the youngsters giving them a chance. But comfortable
there's
victory.
Games tonight.
Yeah, there are.
Chipper host Kaisers.
Big game.
Swallows Maritzburg.
Oh, even bigger.
Even bigger. So they're
two
really
at the bottom,
struggling. 2 at the bottom. And those are tonight. What time will they kick off? 8 o'clock?
Paul, no, they'll be... I don't know. I think it'll be about 7:30.
Okay. Let's look at the fixtures coming up.
Yeah, Paul. We've got there's 4 Saturday, Sunday, and we've added the Chiefs game. That's on Monday. Okay. Chiefs play Swallows as well. Yeah. First game should be a good game, Paul. Royal AM against Cape Town City. Royal AM don't get beat at Chatsworth too often. But Cape Town City, that's Eric Tinkler's team. They've only lost 1 in the last 7, and that was to Pirates. They lost 2-1 last weekend. Big goals, Paul.
Be a good game.
But, of the 2 teams, you know, that said Royal AM at Chatsworth, hard to beat. Stellenbosch, I think, are good things, Paul. Steve's done a great job with them. They beat Sundowns in the Cup quarter-final.
Yeah.
They won last week. Golden Arrows, I can't catch them, Paul. They beat Chiefs, woeful at home. But they score goals, Arrows. But for me, Stellenbosch, good things. Amazulu Sekakuna. Amazulu have only won 1 game.
They're a long way down from when
Benny was there. Well, they fired him and they thought they'd bring another genius in. The guy we met at the airport.
But is he still there?
He's got moved upstairs. So they've got they've got another local guy taking the team. But there's trouble in the camp there, Paul.
Yeah, no,
Sekakuna have done well. I can't believe they're in the top 8, unbeaten in 4. So Sekakuna, Paul, that could go anyway. If I was having a bet, I'd take the draw at 0-0.
Yeah.
Have a couple of rand on that, but the correct score betting wasn't out. So the draw for me is the player. TS Galaxy and Pirates will be goals in this, Paul. TS Galaxy always have a go. But Pirates are going well. They've only lost 2 games. Sundowns and Chiefs. They shouldn't have lost to Chiefs. But 6-10 is short, Paul. Yeah, and Monday I make Chiefs good things, Paul. I've watched Swallows. Yeah. You know, Chiefs are in the semi-final of the Cup. They play Pirates. So youngsters are all trying to get into the game.
22-10 the double. Orlando Pirates and Chiefs to win.
Should be, Paul. I fancied Stellenbosch, which was 7-2. Stellenbosch and Chiefs.
Okay, but tell me about your bets.
Yeah, Paul, we did the GC pool. Now, GC pools are on Sunday. The better games on Sunday than Saturday. So the first Soccer 6 is a Saturday one. I'm bankering Mamelodi Sundowns in the CAF Champions League. They're 4-1 up. but I don't see them taking any chances against Algeria. CR Beloui's dad. I've gone the field in the Royal AM Cape Town City game. I'm banking Stellenbosch to beat Golden Arrows. The field in the Amazulu Sekhukhune United game, as well as Raja Casablanca Al Ahly game. And I'm banking Barcelona, even though they've got... Yeah, they're rotating. I don't know why they're doing it. The league's not over yet. I'm banking Barca to beat Real Betis. The Saturday Soccer 13. I'm going Brentford.
Is there no Saturday Soccer 6?
No, RG, the first one was RGC pools are Sundays.
Okay,
because there's more, the better games.
Okay, got you.
So the Soccer 13, I'm banking Brentford to beat Notts Forest, Brighton to beat Wolves, Coventry win and draw against Birmingham City, Swansea City to avoid defeat at Hull City. I've thrown the draw in with Sheffield United at home against Preston North End. I don't see Burnley losing at Bristol City. Sunderland banker to beat Watford. Onto our second page, I'm banking West Brom to beat Norwich. Stoke City win and draw at home against QPR. Reading win and draw at home against Wigan. And banking Halmstad to beat Bromma Pochkana. Häcken to beat IFK Banama, the 2 Swedish games. And Roma win and draw at home against AC Milan in a big game, 256.
Right.
Onto our score 6, I'm going Celtic in the Scottish semi-final that played at Hampden, win and draw against Rangers. The field in the Bournemouth versus Leeds United game. Man United win and draw at home against Aston Villa. Newcastle to beat Southampton. Liverpool to beat Tottenham in the field in the Ajax Amsterdam PSV Eindhoven match, 216. And our score 10 for the weekend, I'm going Celtic win and draw against Rangers. The field in the Bournemouth Leeds United game. Man City to beat Fulham. Man United win and draw at home against Aston Villa, and Newcastle United should be too good at home against Southampton. Onto our second page, I'm going Villarreal win and draw at home against Celta de Vigo, banking Liverpool to beat Tottenham, the field in the Ajax Amsterdam PSV Eindhoven fixture. I don't see Juventus losing at Bologna, and Atletico Madrid should be too good at Real Valladolid, 288.
Budgie's bets.
On to our bets, Paul. I'm going Man City to beat Fulham and both teams to score, yes. I think City will take the foot off the brake like they did against Leicester. I'm going Newcastle United to win and both teams to score, yes. Southampton will give them danger. Those youngsters up front will give that back four, even though they should get beat. And over 2.5 goals, both teams to score, yes. I think Arsenal and Chelsea, this will be a free-for-all, Paul. They're both gone. 4,200 to 200. Yeah. This is the chance of one, Paul. I'm going Man City to score over 2.5 goals at 12 to 10. I think that's a gimme. I think Bournemouth and Chelsea is my concern, but I took a chance. They were a big price to score over 1.5 goals.
Chelsea against Arsenal.
Yeah, and Southampton just to score against Newcastle, 5,800 to 200. It was a great price, Paul. We've got to take a chance. Difficult. Onto the Championship, I'm going Blackburn Rovers to beat Luton Town. I'm going over 2.5 goals in Bristol City, Burnley, and Rotherham versus Middlesbrough games. And I'm going Huddersfield Town, handicap +1. So that's win or draw, Huddersfield. 3,200 to 200. Both teams to score sides. I'm going Sheffield United, Preston. Stoke City, QPR, Reading, Wigan, and Rotherham, Middlesbrough. 2,400 to 200. Onto the PSL, I'm going Stellenbosch to beat Golden Arrows. Kaiser Chiefs to beat Swallows on Sunday. And both teams to score, Royal AM Cape Town City and TS Galaxy Orlando Pirates, 2,500 to 200.
Right, 6 on Collis King.
6 on next. So Paul, I'm going Man City to beat Fulham, Blackburn to beat Luton, Atletico Madrid to beat Real Valladolid, Sevilla to beat Girona, Napoli to win the league at home against Salernitana, and Sassuolo to beat Empoli, 4,300 to 200.
Right, Budge, sounds very good. So, very interesting football coming up. Very interesting last one standings. We've got to watch tonight. There's local football tonight.
It's all on the buzz, Paul, towards the end of the season. A couple of weeks left.
Okay, until next time, stay on side.